You're listening to the Incomparables Total Party Kill podcast, in which a group of friends play Dungeons & Dragons on the internet for your amusement. This is episode number 240, posted May 2020. An octopus holding a bag.
Welcome back to Total Party Kill. I'm your Dungeon Master, Tony Sindelar. We are returning to the Dog and Pony Show as they explore the cursed lands of Barovia, a land cursed by Strahd himself. Our adventurers joining us today. First off, it's Aline Sims.
Call me Imra and my pupper Androdite.
I will do that. Next
Okay.
up, it's Micah Sargent.
Hello, I play the half-elf druid Elevor.
Followed by Jane Ritt.
Hello, I play the mysterious human, Lena Dulina.
So mysterious.
Ooh.
And also here, it's Erica Ensign.
I play the totally not mysterious dwarf Broldish.
It's good to know where you stand with Broldish.
You always do.
And last, but not least, it's Dan Morin.
Hello, I am Castanonitar's Crucible, a Warforged cleric from a faraway land.
So, previously on the Dog and Pony Show, you had found yourself stranded in the land of Barovia. You made friends with the son and daughter of the Burgermeister, as you do. You helped bury somebody. You were agreed to escort Arena Koliana away from the town of Barovia beneath the shadows of Castle Ravenloft to the town of Vallaki. And technically, you have done that now. You just reached Vallaki. Along the way, there were some skeletons, there were some hipsters, some things happened. A windmill didn't happen, but here you are at the gates of Vallaki, the jewel of Barovia. I don't know. I think there's still there. The tourism bureau is really talking that up, but no one is.
It's
no
just
one
the,
is
it's
buying
just the
into
plain
it.
rock of Barovia.
Yeah.
The uncut stone.
Here on the edge of Vallaki, the old Svalich Road, it meanders. The town is kind of watched over by the brooding mountains to the north and south. The woods have receded, revealing this kind of sullen little area in the valley. Wooden palisades built up all around the town. It's foggy even now in late afternoon. A dirt road heads up to these sturdy iron gates. You can see guards kind of on the ramparts above, and planted in stakes all around the gates are a good dozen pikes with wolf heads impaled upon them.
Is that normal?
I would say that is not the traditional Vallaki greeting. No.
Fine, normal.
Lena, were these here when you left last?
No, these are new.
Do they look fresh? Do they look desiccated?
Yeah, and I don't just mean that these particular heads are new, although they do appear to be. No, this is not the normal motif.
Nope. The normal motif is no wolf heads.
Yeah.
I turn to Emmerich and I say, I know that you're not, you don't live in town, you said, but what's the deal with the wolf heads as you take us to wherever we can start looking for the tracks of Annabelle?
So Emmerich says, and let me just point out, on this map, there is, do you see kind of a circle off in the southwestern corner?
Yes.
That's the Vistani encampment, where Emmerich's people live. So Emmerich says, the people of Vallaki, they have these festivals and feasts and celebrations. So many of them. I believe the last one was wolf-related.
Okay.
Seems a strange thing to celebrate.
They are, quite honestly, I think they're really looking for themes at this point.
There
Lena
aren't a lot
Delina,
of things to celebrate here.
no. And yet, Lena Delina, you would know that the Baron of Vallaki, who is, he's not just a Burgermeister, he is a Baron.
Yeah.
Burgermeister pause. And he is known for his attempts to keep the spirits up of the people of Vallaki. He rules through ruthless festivals and parades. When you were here, it seemed like there was probably about a celebration every week or so. They come at kind of unclear intervals, and it's basically, I mean, the people of Vallaki, or at least the leadership of Vallaki, tries to invent a holiday every week.
Is this like
They're
the
never
machineries of
particularly-
Empire world? It's like the Raven stratagem all up in here. We got to torture some people to keep the calendar going.
I understood
the
that
holidays are never well received.
I just like the idea of
Mhm.
ruthless festivals. It's
Yep.
dumpling day. Go and eat your
It's, you know what,
dumplings.
you know what, Crucible, it sounds great from this side of the wall.
So I convey this to everyone, probably sounding 101% done with it.
So
Potentially even kind of disgusted by the practice at this point.
Emmerich suggests that he's going to head back to his people's encampment to report in. He appreciates whatever help you could give, but obviously you are strangers that he just met on the road. If you wanted, you could spend a significant amount of time walking the perimeter of this significant town looking for tracks. But that would be a big undertaking.
Well, maybe
So-
we should walk along toward where your encampment is and have Imra go first and look at the ground for tracks.
So she was in your encampment and left from there. So potentially we can pick up her path from that point.
Potentially.
It does seem like our best opportunity to do so, since it is the last place that we know for certain she was seen.
Agreed.
I turn to Arena and say, if we decide to do that, we wouldn't be going into Vallaki. If you would prefer to leave us at this point, if you know somebody in town here you could go and hang out with or stay with, that's
I do not,
totally fine.
and I feel like I do not know. I'm a little scared by this big city. Perhaps it's best if I stick with you.
Okay, you can stick around.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right.
Pony seems to have taken a liking to you, so I think
Yeah.
that's great.
So you're gonna
And I
give it-
know because we telepathically communicate.
The guards up on the ramparts look at you suspiciously because you are not coming into Vallaki, which probably anyone who ever walks along these roads do. But you follow Emmerich, and he leads you kind of on. They're pretty rough trails. They're not well kept around the edge of the town toward the direction of the Vistani encampment. So that's your plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And Emmerich is chatting with you as you go. He is a Vistani. He's of the people that Madame Eva and her group were, though. Being in a different encampment, he doesn't necessarily know them, but he would know the name Madame Eva if you wanted to mention that. I don't know if you do or not.
Name dropping.
Name dropping.
I'm not saying her name. So
You're
someone
not
else
saying
might.
her name.
I didn't think so.
Lena might. She'd
Yeah.
be like, yes, we
Mhm.
stayed with a Vistani encampment, but this morning.
Mhm. And so, he tells you, oh, yes, by the Serre Pool, that the largest Vistani encampment in all of Barovia, Big Barovia. We're just a small group here on the edge of Vallaki, but we are nearby and we can go into town. They don't treat us too badly. There's a tribe of Dusk Elves that lives with us. They are not really welcome in Vallaki, so they stay with us. And
A tribe of what now?
Hoo-ha?
Of Dusk Elves.
Dusk elves.
Elves.
Dusk elves.
Oh, okay.
Dusk elves?
Yes, elves.
Dusk Elves.
Valakia.
Elves from the Dusk.
Elves. Gotcha.
Elves.
Yeah, like half of me. So Dusk. Never heard of these ones. Dusky boys?
Yeah. So I don't know how much you know about Dusk Elves. Do I need
Could I
to
do
find
a
them?
history check or?
Sure.
Cool. Let's have Elevor do a history check on his distant compadres.
Ooh, I got a 0.
Well,
Rolling
I
like a lean.
rolled
Bro,
a
this
20.
please make up something that is not true about the Dusk Elves that you believe.
Brildish actually misheard and she thought it was dust elves.
Dust
yeah,
elves.
that's a group of elves that are like they clean. They do a lot of cleaning for a lot of big households and stuff.
We call those pixies. I got a 20 plus 4 dusk elves.
All right, I will tell you, you know a decent amount about the Dusk Elves. Elevor, I don't know if you have ever met a Dusk Elf. There is not many of them. They're an ancient race that is relatively forgotten, and there are only a few survivors left from some long ago war. They are elves and they look elf-like. They are known for having kind of dark skin and dark hair, but they look pretty similar to wood elves. But probably the notable thing about dusk elves is that there are very few, and it is rumored that in fact there are no remaining women or children among the dusk elves, and that they're basically fated to those that remain are perhaps the last dusk elves that there will ever be. So
I want to be a dusk elf.
Lena, up to you. I don't know if you've ever heard of dusk elves or knew that there were any in Barovia.
She's been a lot of places, but she might not know.
Okay.
Everybody.
So Emmerich specifically mentions that part of the reason that there's this big search party, and in fact, as you get closer to the Vistani campsite, you see other Vistani coming and going in groups, and apparently he mentions it's obviously a big deal when a child goes missing, but Arabelle is the daughter of let me just make sure I get his name right, and when I say right, I mean wrong. So Luvash is the leader of this Vistani encampment.
Now, Imra hasn't seen any children's tracks, like as we've traveled along here.
Nope, you have not, Imra, anywhere along the southern side of Vallaki.
Okay. Elivor's gonna walk over to Crucible and just give a little whisper conversation. So we are going to be approaching a group of elves that come from. They're an ancient race that I didn't even know were around anymore. They're a little like wood elves, my brethren from the forest. But I remember my grandparents talking about these dusk elves that have been gone for many millennia. If they're here, this is a rare thing, and I know you're sort of big into history and experiencing new things. So I don't know, just be on the lookout for these dusk elves. There might be something there for you to take back to wherever you are from.
Thank you, Master Druid. That is most interesting. I've never heard of this particular group of elves, and I'm most intrigued to meet them, and perhaps I will write a paper about them.
High adventure.
Wow. Just wow.
So eventually Emmerich leads your way through the woods, and you see ahead of you a very strange sight. There's an expansive clearing. It's the new map loading for all of you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And specifically, if you scroll, there's kind of the overhead map, and at the bottom of that, there's like a cross-section map.
I
Which,
love the cross-section map.
I think is particularly exciting, which I'll describe for our listeners who can't see it. So there's an expansive clearing, and there's kind of a small grass-covered hill with low houses built into the sides of the hill at kind of evenly spaced intervals. And these buildings feature kind of elegantly carved woodwork, and they've got decorative lanterns hanging from them and sculpted eaves. And atop the hill, kind of above the fog that clings to everything in Barovia, there's a ring of barrel-shaped, barrel-topped wagons, similar to what you saw at Madame Eva's campsite. And in the middle of them, there's a large tent. There's some smoke kind of billowing out from it, from cooking. The tent is not on fire, just to be clear here. It looks relatively brightly lit, and you can see lots of Vistani kind of coming and going. There's some horses around. The area smells like food and horses and probably some wine. And you can see it's a pretty substantial encampment.
This encampment seems far more permanent than the one that we saw before.
Emmerich says, yes, the dust elves, they live in the wooden structures around the hill, and the Vistani stay in the tents on the top with our wagons.
Elivor would actually know a little bit about Earth Contact Homes, and so I would.
Can I drop some Earth Contact Homes knowledge on everybody?
I don't know. I would just say we've got a very intelligent group of people that we're going to be conversing with, folks.
Yeah.
Because
these Earth Contact Homes, they're cheap to heat. I'll say the architecture here is rather striking compared to what you've seen, compared to the kind of sad stone houses in Barovia. This does not appear to be an abandoned haunted campsite. It appears to be, a place that people live.
Maybe some of
Perhaps
these
we could look for tracks in the area around this dome, or I don't know, would Androdite be able to track based on if we can find an object that belonged to the child?
That's a good question.
I bet you could try.
You could try. Emmerich is prepared to broker a meeting with Luvash, if that would be helpful.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
Probably,
Thank you.
All right. So I don't know how much we need the map, but Emmerich will lead you up through the encampment into the central tent at the top of the hill. And this is a little bit different than Madame Eva's encampment. It looks like people were setting up for some kind of meal, but everything is kind of like halted, and so lots of kind of things are like incomplete and half done. And the tent is actually pretty empty. There's a kind of middle-aged Vistani man pacing back and forth in the middle of the tent. And he looks up as you come in, and Emmerich gives him kind of a quick hand signal that suggests that like you're not arriving with good news. I believe I have an image.
This is very strange that he's not out looking for his daughter right now.
Whoa.
So this is Luvash, big, kind of burly, middle-aged Vistani. He does not look like he is having a great day. Emmerich, why are you back here already? And Emmerich says, great. Thanks for tricking me into having a conversation with myself, players.
We win.
Yeah, I
every
was
time.
just like, how long is it going to take for him to realize
Solid
that
couple
he
seconds.
has to answer?
You know what? You all gain inspiration.
Whoa!
I'm choosing to
Emmerich
take
says,
that as true.
I found these travelers on the road, and they have promised to help us. They seem quite capable. Emmerich then steps aside. Luvash looks at you suspiciously. I don't like outsiders.
Does
Hello.
it help that I'm a wood elf and it look maybe kind of like people he's accustomed to?
You kind of pull back your hooded cloak that you were wearing just at that moment, and he, you see his look of consternation fade a little bit, and he looks at you closely. His eyes kind of stop on Crucible for a bit, and it's clear that you are not perhaps the average Barovians that he perhaps took you for.
These ones are skilled in tracking and all manner of other things. From what I've seen so far.
He kind of stomps over to you and looks at you, Lena. Are you the leader?
Yes.
My little girl is missing. If you find her, you will be rewarded.
Do you have any of her belongings that we maybe use to track her?
He let me think about that. He goes and he starts there's it's kind of a throne. There's a large chair set up, and he starts looking around it, and he starts rooting through a crate, and he returns with doll is a strong word. It's more like a felt two-dimensional horse.
Yeah.
Oh,
Little flat horse.
Yeah,
just like
little
Pony
flat horse.
Single Art.
Not to be confused with Big Flat Horse.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Pony Cinderlarin.
No.
Yeah.
Who is currently not flat. Let's hope it stays that way.
Let's see.
Thank you. When did you last see her?
She has been missing for more than a day at this point.
Ooh.
Okay.
Were
Like
there any
48
areas
hours,
that she
or-
was fond of or curious about?
She was curious about the town.
Oh.
We cannot search there. So
Yes.
we're doing what for her sake, we hope she is in the woods, but we do not know. My stupid brother was supposed to be watching her, and then he got drunk.
Where is your brother now?
Aragal is out searching the woods.
Where was she last seen?
It's not clear. Aragal has little information. But she was last seen here in our encampment, and then she appears to have wandered off.
All right. Well, don't know if I hope that she's in the woods on account of what a night spent out there can do, but we'll do
Agreed.
our best to try and find her.
Perhaps you could search within the town itself.
If
Definitely.
that is where we would be of best use, then certainly.
May I take the horse and see if the felted horse
Mm-hmm.
and see if my dog can pick anything up from it?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna take it and hold it out to Androdite.
Okay. What's Andrew do? See, now I tricked you, and now you have to play yourself and a dog.
She-
How does it feel?
I think I'm gonna ask her to sniff it.
Does she sniff it then?
Yes.
roll persuasion on Androdite.
Does
All
roll
right.
persuasion.
Contested
She-
sniff check.
She will follow my commands to the best of her ability.
Okay.
Aw.
So would that be like a perception check to see if she picks up on anything?
You know, I think you and Androdite are skilled trackers.
Okay.
This is clearly an object of affection for Arabelle, and we'll say that Androdite has the scent.
Okay.
So
Wonderful.
I'm kind of making up the rules for how tracking work. Please
Yeah,
don't
I
write to
don't
me,
know.
people.
Yeah.
But we will say, it's going to be challenging. Obviously, in the campsite, there's all kinds of smells and lots of foot traffic, and especially with people
And it's
searching.
been a day.
It's been a day. I will say
Has it ever?
that you, at this point, if you kind of came across her path, you would probably you/Androdite would probably find it. There are things you could do to, actively search for stuff. But I think at this point, we'll just assume that Androdite is always on the watch for
Okay.
tracks and smells of this girl,
Okay.
this Vistani girl. How's that?
Perfect. How many children are there? Do you have many children around?
This is a significant encampment. I'm going to say that there's a dozen or so children of
Okay.
various ages. Probably Arabelle is the only one, in her age group.
Okay.
Okay.
Most of the other ones are younger. I'm making up populations. It's a thing I can do.
All right. So I think Androdite. I think Androdite and I are just gonna kind of look around and see if we see a maybe slightly larger child's footprint, or if Androdite
Let's look around.
stumbles
wanna
across
See if we
herself.
see a child.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Is it just bring the kids up one by one?
This is just a funny adventure design. They give me a specific number of the different types of horses in this camp, but they do not tell me how many children.
Probably because that is 100%
Yeah.
something that the players will be like, okay, well, this is where we steal our horses,
Whoa,
right?
whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read you this paragraph where it describes the amount of dung output by 24 draft horses and 6 riding horses.
What?
Oh my
I don't
God.
want to metagame this too much, but is it possible the horses took her?
Those horses do look suspicious, I have to
So
say.
it
sure
looks
do.
like there's only one main path out of town, so that seems like a good place to check.
Toward the
And
town.
then if
So-
there's not a scent there, then
Let me take you back to the Valaki map for a second, because there's actually Valaki is a little bit at a crossroads.
right.
The Old Svalich Road goes east to west, and Valaki is like on the Old Svalich
Right.
Road in kind of this big clearing. There is kind of a small path that leads north out of town to Lake Zarovich, north of Valaki.
Well, let's see if we can pick up a path in any of the roads out of the encampment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sure.
maybe we should just sort of circle the north
Yeah.
and east sides of the encampment.
Yeah.
If she was curious about town, that's probably the
Yeah.
side she would.
And especially because we sort of cleared the woods to
Mhm.
the south. So maybe we start with the northernmost exit from the camp first.
Okay, so it seems like just checking. This is you're committed to doing the search as opposed to other activities. This is your main thing you're focused on
Absolutely.
right now.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
so.
Cool.
Did we ask if there had been any visitors to camp? I mean, I know that there's like the reputation and they're ostracized and all that, but
Emmerich is passing by and he says, "Nope, no visitors recently." And then he goes back around his chores.
handy.
Yeah,
He's
in
a
the
helpful
background.
fella.
doing
Is
like
he-
hammering something.
Is he just walking in a circle?
It's called a grid search, he says over his shoulder.
Is it really? a
Have you
grid
heard of
the
any
circle?
drowned towns?
Yeah.
Right.
Why?
So I love
Yeah.
the idea of him just popping in every once in a while, like, oh, and here's this.
And Irina says, "It is good that you people do this. Not enough people show kindness to the Vistani. It is time to bring our people together. Perhaps as one united Barovia, we can finally stand up to the devil. I'm very tired.
That sounds really nice, although I don't really want to be part of Barovia, but I'd help you stand up to the strudel dude.
Yeah, strudel dude.
I am not saying strudel dude.
We'll sure you'll say Burgermeister, but you won't say.
There is a line, Aline. The line is that Burgermeister on one side of the line, strudel dude on the other.
Now you said it twice.
Let me just write that down. Let's see.
All right. And so we will say you engage in kind of a methodical and systematic search. You start. To the extent your players.
Yeah, to the north of the.
Our characters are more capable
area.
than us as players. That's for sure.
You backtrack a ways from the path that Emmerich led you into the Vistani encampment, since you didn't see anything along that way, and start searching. And it's challenging. There's obviously been a lot of foot traffic from the search parties coming and going here. And just so you know, I'm going to use Androdite on this map to kind of represent you. But you find eventually a set of footprints that do appear to be, Imra, a small child's.
Okay.
And they seem to be kind of, let's just say, frolicking through this field to the west of Vallaki.
Tiptoeing through the tulips.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm going to let everybody know and follow the tracks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to follow Imra and Androdite?
Yep.
All right.
I'm definitely staying behind so I don't trample any frolicking.
Mm-hmm. Imra, the trail, it is clearly just kind of a child wandering. You study it and you feel very confident based on you have a mental image of like the size and height and weight of this child, and it lines up with what you know about Arabelle. And the path is very meandering. It's like a kid was just wandering around this field having a good time. The path kind of meanders north of the field, and there are some kind of abandoned houses. They are outside the walls of Vallaki. Perhaps the village was here and then the walls were put up. And so there's kind of these dilapidated, Dan, you could say they're ruins.
Ruins, you say?
They're just old houses. Don't get too excited.
What was their purpose?
Their purpose was shelter from the elements.
Fine.
They were built by humans. They have sat empty for a long time. They have no objects of value in them. But indeed, it's even easier here to pick up the path. And it looks like this child was kind of, going on a little adventure and wandering through these houses and hiding and poking around. And Imra, at a certain point, you notice there is a second set of footprints in the proximity to this first set that you've been following.
Jesus, Gary.
Okay. Since I'm tracking her, I can tell how long ago she was here. So
a couple hours.
Just a couple of hours. Okay.
Yep.
And how?
But hasn't she been gone for more than a day?
Yep.
Yeah.
How?
Are we even sure that's the right kid? Because Androdite didn't bark or anything with like a scent.
It does look like she's perhaps been hiding in this little, either hiding or lost in this little encampment here, or not encampment, but cluster of buildings.
Bears mentioning we're close to town.
You're right outside town.
Yes.
As you're poking around in these, the guards up on the ramparts are giving you, the like, what is with these weird outsider people?
Yeah, they do not care for outsiders, and you are all very outsiders to them.
There's also just, we described the eastern side of Vallaki. The western gate, also a bunch of pikes with wolf's heads on them.
Yeah. And apparently elves are not permitted in the city. So we may wish to put up our hoods.
Mm-hmm. At the very least, they're not welcome. They may not be outlawed so much as discriminated against.
Yeah.
Yay, fantasy escapism.
Yeah. Okay, so is there anything else I can tell from the tracks?
So Imra, looking at these tracks, clearly this child spent several hours kind of hanging out in these structures, playing. They left lots of obvious kind of signs that they were there. Yeah. You see several places where it looks like perhaps the child laid down and took a nap, more than one. But then the tracks lead north of these structures, and the tracks are accompanied by another set of tracks that you saw a few of before. Which, you want to give me a perception check on these larger footsteps?
Okay. Yeah, I rolled a 24 to perception. And I I can learn the number, sizes, and how long ago of everybody who passed through the area that I'm tracking.
Does not look like any search parties have come through here. You're studying these tracks that are with the young child tracks, and they seem to be the tracks of kind of a large, perhaps large, heavy set, I'll say man. So humanoid man wearing boots.
Okay. So I'll convey that. It looks like there was a child who was, I don't know, snatched by a dude.
Was
Or
she
is at least
snatched or
being
did
followed?
A circle
her-
dude?
Or perhaps
Maybe
coerced.
I mean, are you still seeing her footsteps, or if she was snatched and picked up and carried? I'm just
You see two sets of footsteps
okay. So
heading
she was at least
north
walking.
and east of this area here.
I would suggest we
So
follow
into the
footsteps.
city or north of the city?
North of the city.
North.
Okay.
Through the
yeah, so
kind
let's
of
go.
open fields.
So I
Let's
guess
go.
we
Following.
keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
You follow the tracks for a little bit, Imra, without any trouble. Eventually, the tracks of the child stop, and the tracks of the adult continue. And I'll say the tracks look a little bit heavier.
Oh.
Okay,
That
okay,
that's where the snatching happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where Jesus kidnapped one set of
God.
footprints.
A little ways after that, there's in fact a clear. It looks like appearing here. It looks like a set of adult footprints are joined by. It looks like drag marks of perhaps some kind of bag that was carried behind the person.
What the heck?
Barovia is terrible.
Well, is it at least easier to track now?
It's really easy to track now.
Cool.
Can we maybe
Mm.
pick up our pace a little bit?
Yeah.
Indeed,
Yeah.
and so you run.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, and so we do.
Okay, let me just check what's going on here.
You know, I didn't think I'd ever say it, says Elevor, but it would really be nice to have a bard for when we're running.
What?
I just need some background running music, you know? I really get in the flow.
All right, so you are running across the hills and fields outside of the town of Vallaki. The guards up on the ramparts are giving you all kinds of strange looks, but
Red
no one is
glares.
sounding any kind of alarm. People are allowed to run around in the fields. It's just discouraged. And you head north. The tracks eventually join the road leading north of Vallaki and are still pretty easy to follow as this path leads to Lake Zarovich, north of Vallaki. I'm just going to take you back to the world map for a second.
So,
It's-
so when Elevor says that he wants a bard for when you're running, Lena says, "What's a bard?
Oh,
No bards in Barovia."
That's right. That's right.
Add it to the list, people.
No, it's on there, isn't it?
no.
Ah,
This
no,
No,
that's
it
new.
is now.
That's new.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. The shore of Lake Zarovich is a good 1.5 miles outside the town of Vallaki, but it is a well-traveled path.
If I need to ride on Pony Cindelarnt in order to keep up, then I assume Arena is faster than I am.
Okay.
Just in
And
terms
so
of
you do.
like running.
Let's
Dwarf
see.
on a horse. Dwarf on a horse.
Dwarf on a horse.
Pony.
There's the bard song.
Pony.
At the foot of a mountain
Dwarf on a
nestled
pony.
in the misty forest is Lake Zarovich. The water is perfectly still and dark, reflecting the black clouds overhead like a monstrous mirror. And on this dark, still lake is a rowboat that you can see from shore. And in that rowboat is a lone figure sitting there, holding over his head a struggling bag. A fishing boat lies in the boat.
Okay, Elevor immediately turns into Octavor.
Okay.
Yes.
Elevor, can
Nice.
you remind the listeners what Octavor is and is
Yeah.
capable of?
Octavor is capable of a lot, but I won't go into all the detail of that. Octavor is the name of Elevor's octopus wild shape. He made an appearance one time where he was invisible and also flew and bestowed gifts upon the good children of fighting dragons in a forge.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
There was a
it's the
lot of
greatest thing
magic
ever.
that happened that day. And so Elevor immediately, does his muttering and sort of crawls into the water in octopus form and starts to swim out to the boat. He's going to rescue this child, even if it goes to the bottom of the lake.
I'm gonna look for other rowboats around.
All right, there are in fact
in.
several other rowboats
Okay.
on the shore of the lake.
I'll help
So-
Bruldish grab a boat since swimming probably not my strong suit.
I was
Ditto.
going to say,
Yeah.
can I swim?
Is water walk a spell that you have?
I did not prepare it.
Okay.
What a day!
All right, let's see. What order do we want to deal with?
The worst
people?
part about being a spellcaster is when you look at it, you're like, locate object. That would be great.
Yep.
Water walk, that'd be fantastic. Did not prep either of those.
It happens. So the man in the boat seems to be struggling a little bit with the bag because it's squirming, and he seems to be like intent on really kind of like hoisting it over his head. It seems like he might be kind of shouting something. The words are kind of being grabbed by the wind, and they're hard to make out. But can you give me a quick rundown again of what you're doing? So Elevor, you have become Octavor and are swimming out there or flying?
I'm not flying. That is only if I drank a potion of flying. that I was
Okay,
able to do that.
I was like because I was like octopi not normally known for flight, but you know what do I know?
I have 30 feet of swim speed, and
You
yeah,
have
I am
30 feet of swim speed, and how far do I think that this boat is out there? Let's see.
Many feet.
The boat is a good 300 feet out there.
So you can start dashing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. And I have advantage on stealth checks made while underwater, so I want to be secret.
Okay.
As I'm going up to them.
And so you're doing that. So that's Elevor. Lena Delina, what are you doing?
I see that folks are readying to launch with some of the boats, and I would like to be on one of those boats.
How big are the rowboats? Are they like 2-person rowboats or 1-person rowboats?
Let's say that they're 4-person robots.
Robots.
Robots!
Spoilers.
Or not.
Cannon.
So the perfect number.
I mean,
we
I
all
also
act-
thought that was a reasonable size for a robot.
Yeah. Okay. So
Do we
so
all still want to be in the same boat though?
I
or
was
would
going to
we-
say, do we want to put all of our people in one
Mm.
So I am not strong.
Mm.
So we shouldn't rely on Lena to row.
I can
I'm
row
strong.
one boat. Bruldish row the other,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
Okay.
Imra and Lena seem better at ranged stuff anyways, so perhaps
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can be ready to
I like this.
Yep. That sounds good.
All right, 2 boats.
All right. So
Okay.
you rush down to the shore, you jump into 2 boats, and are rowing out there. Why don't you give me some strength checks for who's doing the rowing? And we're going to say that, you need to get, let's say 15 or above to be rowing fast. Otherwise, 10 and above is just rowing.
All right. Just a straight up strength check.
Yep.
13.
Can I offer encouraging
21.
words to
Yes. Yes, you
always
can.
can.
I can assist?
Mm.
Yeah, I got a 21.
All right. So, Broldis, you're just like, you're hauling oar, as they say.
There's a girl in trouble. We have to
Yes.
save her.
And Broldis, remind me who's in your boat?
Lena.
Lena,
Okay.
yeah.
This is now where the Dungeon Master's book does not help me out. What is faster, a rowboat being rowed by a dwarf or an octopus? I think the octopus.
Octopus, yeah.
Yeah.
I would think the octopus.
I would think the octopus. So, Elevor or Octavor is darting out ahead stealthily with his advantageous stealth. Broldish and Lena are next. And then Crucible and Imra, you're in the
And Androdite.
and Androdite are in the back boat,
Yeah.
heading out. It is a veritable crossing the... I forget what that river is that they're crossing in that...
Delaware,
in
the Rubicon,
yeah,
the River Jordan.
crossing the
Pick a big one.
Delaware. Yeah, I imagine it's like crossing the Delaware, but with like one like
Crossing the Delimvor? Is
Crossing
that
the
when
Elevor,
Elevor turns
yes.
into
Delaware.
Delaware?
I can turn into a state.
I mean,
Wait until he gets level 20, people.
when he turns into Delaware because the credit card fees are very reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is like crossing the Delaware. I think that there was an elf in that painting. I didn't look closely.
FYI, you can add your proficient. If you have proficiency with any kind of land or water vehicle, you can add your proficiency bonus to any check you make to control the vehicle.
One
So
time
Crucible.
I don't have vehicle proficiency.
Oh, okay.
So
I have cartographer's
Elevor.
kit.
Elevor, you are first to arrive at the boat. There's a large, heavyset man in the boat struggling with a canvas bag over his head that looks approximately child-sized. You're there. What do you want to do about it?
I would like to ready an action that as soon as the child, or should the bag that is struggling, the struggle bag be hoisted into the water, Octavor will basically use some of its tentacles to scoop the bag and sort of keep it above the water. So yeah, that's going to be my next step, is like scoop and save the bag.
Good news. That's what happens. The man throws the bag into the lake next to him, and Octavor, you are there to grab the bag and keep it from sinking into the dark, cold depths of Lake Zarovich. You are an octopus holding a bag with a child in it. I suspect that is challenging.
That does become challenging, yes.
Given, do you know what the weight of an octopus is?
Let's see.
Is this a giant octopus, though?
I believe so.
Yeah.
This is,
An African
Challenge
octopus
rating.
or a European octopus?
Oh my God. Let me look. Not that.
This is
I'm not
this is what
answering
I
your
like to be
question.
looking up at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night, is what is the weight of a giant octopus in Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah, so a giant
Tuesday
octopus
night.
has a strength of +3 and is size large.
All right. It is, so we will say it is trivial for you.
So it's like
to
big.
Yeah, it's big. All right. Yeah, I guess you fought a dragon. You can keep a child from drowning. Elevor, you're using some of your tentacles to keep the child from drowning. We'll say that the bag is even safely kind of at the surface of the water, right? How's that? So, Broldish,
Wonderful.
you and Lena Delina are next on the scene.
What range are we at?
You're right there. What I would say less than 10 feet.
Okay, so as we get there, the guy dumps the bag,
Yep.
and an octopus's tentacles just lift the bag back up.
I will tell you, he looks surprisingly unfazed by this.
Okay,
Barovia.
I would like to stab him.
Okay.
We would all like to stab him. Really.
Yeah.
From a distance, or you're gonna jump from boat to boat.
So if we're right there, I mean, are we close
That
enough?
Lena Delina could jump from one boat to another boat.
She's gonna jump into the boat. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
Lena Delina, let's be clear. You could wait a second and not need to jump from boat to boat, but
No. She's
No.
gonna jump into the boat.
do it.
Okay. So acrobatics. It's 10.
Yeah, you know, it's not hard. Broldish has done a great job of getting you there. You jump from one boat. Broldish, your boat is kind of rocking back and forth, and
Yep.
you land Lena in the other boat. That boat is rocking back and forth vigorously.
Yep.
There's a large man in that boat. He turns to look at you, and he kind of stares at you with empty eyes.
Cool. I would like to use insightful fighting. So for my bonus action, make an insight check against a creature that I can see that isn't incapacitated, contested by the target's deception check.
All right. His deception check was a 4.
Okay, I got a 13.
What do you know about him?
So it's
Where his kidneys are, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just so I can see his vulnerabilities, which I know do.
They are many,
Yep.
both physical and mental.
Okay, so since it's a insight check, does he look evil, or does he just look like, is there a chance that he's just possessed, or like
Give me another insight check that I will
Okay.
not contest.
that is a 14.
So I will say that your question is a challenging one. You
Yeah.
did just see him throw a child into a lake,
Mhm.
which on most morality scales rates pretty high in the evil. But I would say, Lena Delina, as you are looking at him face to face, there is something not right about him.
Okay.
And it seems like he might be in some kind of altered state of consciousness.
Okay. So I am going to...
He seemed very unsurprised that an octopus caught the child and that someone has jumped into the boat with him.
Okay. And he doesn't have any sort of weapons or anything
He does not.
like that?
Nope. This is a commoner for all intents and purposes.
Oh. Wait 1 second. I have to look something up.
Are commoners your chosen, quarry or something?
Makes him even easier to kill.
Yeah.
No, so because of my background, which is haunted one, those who look into your eyes can see that you have faced unimaginable horror and that you are no stranger to darkness. Though they might fear you, commoners will extend you every courtesy and do their utmost to help you.
You know what? The guy that he is nonverbal, but you kind of get a look back from him that's basically like game recognized game.
Yeah. So she has her sword up, and then she just lowers it so it's on his shoulder and says, "Explain your actions."
He does not say anything.
Okay, so I'm going to hold that stance until we have the girl sort of back into the boat and
all right.
Into all well.
Broldish, did you want to do anything in the boat?
I just want to get the boat, now that Lena has jumped out, I want to get the boat closer to Octavore so that he has some place to deposit the squirming, I assume, child.
Yep. You know what would be great in this situation?
What's that?
So, a little special magic snake I call rope.
I can swim.
Yeah, but the rope is helpful to get the bag out.
Yeah, I'll just.
All right, fine. You won't use rope in this situation. Is that what you want to hear?
Look, I'm using organic rope. It's called tentacle.
This is the one time where the party doesn't actually want to use rope for anything, and Tony's pushing it. What is happening?
It's a trap.
Up is down, left is right. Welcome to Barovia. All right, Elevor, unless you have a reason not to, you could easily shove the bag with child into Broldish's boat.
That's exactly what I will do.
Okay. The bag is squirming about. It's soggy. But it is not full of water. It's full of a child. Broldish.
Yeah, I'm going to try to open the bag.
Okay. There is a young Vistani girl in the bag. She seems surprised to see you.
Does she have hair?
She does have hair. Okay, she is with hair.
Hi, I'm Brildish. We're here to rescue you.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on. You switched that quickly?
She's so chill. So
thank you. Everything's
help
fine.
her out of the bag and help
I
her
appreciate that. I was waylaid by a strange man.
Yeah, he's
Dude,
over
this is
there.
the chillest child I've ever met.
The Vistani are badass, I guess.
People respond to shock and trauma in different ways.
That's
Can someone cop an insight?
Yeah, please.
I will.
You know
that.
what? Some insight checks are just Tony's role playing is not great. Not everything is a sinister plot.
I don't know. I was
it's Barovia.
I was 50-50 on that child having fangs and latching onto Broldish's neck. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got a 6 on my insight check, so she seems fine to me.
She seems, I would say surprisingly erudite for a child, which is totally a word Broldish uses.
This child's surprisingly
all right.
erudite.
I ask her, are you hurt? Do you need any healing?
I'm kind of hungry. Do you have any food?
I'm scared of the child.
I give her some jerky.
Ask her name. Just make sure it wasn't another kidnapped child.
She eats the food quickly.
Are you yelling that? Because otherwise Broldish is not going to think of it.
Are you
I will say the second boat arrives. There's now 3 boats here in the middle of the lake and an octopus. Lena Delina is standing in one boat with a strange man who's just standing there, not doing anything hostile, since there is a sword kind of at his neck area.
Crucible's puffing a little bit as he pulls the boat up.
Yeah. Crucible and Imra have arrived.
Coming out of his neck.
Yeah. Elevor, do you want to keep being an octopus or do you want to stop being an octopus?
Until we go back to land, Elevor is going to have a little swim.
All right.
I'm going to use my divine sense and use as an action, I'm going to detect good and evil. And until the end of my next turn, I can sense anything affected by the Hallow spell or know the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet that's not behind total cover.
There is nothing evil here in the middle of the lake.
Okay. I will say, all right, that's he's not undead, he's not a fiend, the kid's not celestial.
It's weird that the guy who just tried to dunk the child isn't evil.
Well,
Perhaps.
He's not a fiend.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps
He seems to be under some sort of fugue.
Jane, he is the worst kind of evil. Humanity.
Can I roll an, I don't know, what, Arcana? Religion? To see, like, if there is something I can think of that might...
I yell, Lena, try slapping him.
Yeah, do you want to continue to do this here in the middle of the lake, or do you want to head back
I
to
think
shore?
we should bring the child back as soon as possible. You, child,
Agreed.
you are Arabelle, correct?
Correct. Who are you?
I am cast in Onatar's Crucible, but you may call me Crucible.
Well met, Crucible.
Does the man object, like, having his hands tied?
Nope.
Okay, I think we should do that.
Have
All
you
right.
tried giving him like a swift slap on the face? The movies tell me that sometimes brings people around.
Let's tie his hands and then I'll slap him.
Okay.
Order of operations.
You know, hey,
If there's
Lena,
one
give me
thing 50 Shades of Grey has taught
Lena, give me a quick perception check on the boat that you're standing in.
That's not great. That's 12.
I will tell you, you notice looking around the boat, it looks like the oars have been misplaced for this boat. Not clear how he was going to get back to shore. There is a fishing pole here in the boat. There's also several, they look like kind of greasy paper sacks. They look empty. They're kind of crushed, rolled up.
What?
Wait.
Oh no.
greasy paper sacks.
Like the type of
Oh,
sacks you would
no.
use
For like
to store pastries.
They could be any kind of sacks.
Okay, I'm gonna crumple some of them into my bag while making a face. It's like, I guess
Crucible
we have to check her out.
Crucible will suggest tying the rowboat without oars to, his boat so they can sort of tow him back in.
So you tow the boat back to
now
shore.
you want to use rope.
Arabelle looks relieved to be back on a solid ground.
Not
And
that
in
she
fact,
cares much.
a Vistani search party has arrived on the edge of the lake. It is getting to be dark. They've got all their torches lit, and they see you and wave to you, kind of excitedly.
They're going to try and kill this man, but I don't think he was operating under his own power. We will have to stand strong to defend him from them.
I am prepared to make sure that justice is served correctly. Not
Sure.
from a mob.
All right, so let's lead with the good news, shall we?
Okay, so do you have a plan?
Yeah.
Reunite the child.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be a little bit intimidating. Octavor, as an octopus, has 30 minutes of air breathing he can do.
Mhm.
So this creepy big octopus is going to be coming along with the group. That'll hopefully it'll freak them out a little bit, just so that they don't hopefully come and
A
attack.
giant octopus flops up on the shore next to us.
Elivor, there may the mob. It is a mob.
Well-
The instinct of an octopus crawling out of Lake Zarovich at nightfall may be.
Oh, it's nightfall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
no.
it's nightfall eve.
Okay, so
Twilight.
Yeah, I'm just it's you got to be aware when you're a giant octopus that of the space you take up in the world, which is octopus shaped.
given that it's nightfall, I think, okay, I will just. I don't want to. I'm going to stay in the water for a little bit. See how this
All right.
goes.
Sure, you find some oars while you're swimming around.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
There might be some good stuff down there.
Yeah,
Hail
we should do a
Vistani,
perception
we have
check.
found your lost child.
The Vistani approach you. You don't. You recognize them from the campsite, and that they're clearly Vistani.
Yeah.
Emmerich is, or neither Emmerich nor Luvash is among them, and they head toward you. They've got pitchforks, rakes, torches. They look somewhat agitated, but also relieved to see Arabelle with you unscathed.
Yep.
Oh,
We will.
Arabelle kind of runs off toward them.
I think that on one hand, I want to we were promised that we would be rewarded, which is not why we did this deed, but
Are you talking to them or to your party?
to the party.
Okay.
On the other hand, I am truly worried that this man would come to peril. And on the third hand, we should really get somewhere to spend the night.
I suggest perhaps we take this man back into Vallaki, since the Vistani themselves don't seem to venture into the city. It seems like perhaps the safest place to keep him until we can settle what's going on here.
I do worry about leaving him in this state. He might just try to abduct another child.
No, I suggest we keep watch on him in Vallaki, perhaps.
Yes.
Perhaps we can find. So you know this town. I know you do not necessarily wish to discuss your place in it, but perhaps there is a inn of some kind where we could seek lodging for the evening.
Indeed, the Blue Water Inn is a well-known establishment in Vallaki.
Yes, I suppose you have a point, and then we can reconvene with the Vistani tomorrow. Cooler heads prevailing. Hopefully, he's snapped out of whatever this is.
Perhaps someone in town will recognize him.
Perhaps. And yeah, with the Vistani, maybe we can tell them that we feel we need to question this fellow to find out if he has any cohort that are also going to steal other children. So maybe that would save him from getting murderized by these Vistani people. Right
and
away.
Now it is also possible that the people of Vallaki will try to confiscate him because they'll think that we have him captive, which technically we do. He is our captive. So
well, if we untie his hands and just, keep a close eye on him, maybe
well,
that won't
adventurers,
be so obvious.
You have done some good work. You have saved a small innocent child from certain death. You have perhaps gained favor with the Vistani, an enigmatic people not always welcome in Barovia, and you are just outside the gates of Vallaki, the place where you have wished to be. And, Arena seems quite impressed with what you've done. But will you be greeted as heroes in Vallaki, or with further suspicion? For questions! No. For answers to questions such as these, tune in next time to Total Party Kill. Tuesday night!
Tuesday night!
good job, everybody.
Yay.